Hello, everybody. This is Ronnie from the future editing this podcast episode in post. What we found was actually a 0-day vulnerability within Ledger. In short, the way it worked is you could use the software in order to send emails to people pretending to actually be Ledger, and it would come from their infrastructure. As I'm recording this, we're in the process of working with Ledger in order to help get this patched for everybody. So when you listen to the discussions, keep that in mind that that was real-time analysis as we were trying to figure this out, understand what we were seeing and looking at, and trying to go and publish that content online. If you're seeing or listening to this, that means that Ledger has had this fully patched and is good to go. So yeah, really interesting podcast episode for this. So have fun, stay safe, and as always, be awesome to each other. Rexxfield Investigates, out. Bye, y'all.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Rexxfield Investigates podcast. My name is Ronnie, your host, and we do what we say. We investigate. On the podcast today, I've got two special guests, Mike Roberts, who is the original owner of Rexxfield, and we have Rex, one of our investigators. No relation to the name Rexxfield, and it was not named after him.
Coincidence.
Yeah. Absolute coincidence. This morning I woke up and my phone was going off with an interesting investigation. And over the last several hours, this has all been in the process. This has been in the works. This one is absolutely hot. What we have is we have a really interesting investigation around Ledger. And what has been found so far is a type of impersonation attack that is not targeting folks in the US, which is what we see a lot of times, but actually targeting folks out in Australia with lookalike domains. So, Michael, do you want to go ahead and go into some of the details on what all you're seeing as a result of the investigation?
Yeah, I'll jump right into it. So this was quite interesting because it came to my personal iCloud account. The message was sent from this domain to my iCloud account. ANZ is one of the big four banks in Australia, and I'm an Australian citizen. I haven't lived there for a long time. It said that there's recent activity on the account from this IP in Frankfurt, Germany on the March 7th. I was in Frankfurt on March 7th. This is sophisticated unless it's just a crazy coincidence. It got my attention because I knew it was phishing immediately because I don't have a bank account with ANZ. So I decided to take a closer look. So I called this number. This is a Sydney number. I recorded more than 2.5 hours of calls with the scammers. Today they have British accents. During the call, sometimes I could hear Asian language in the background, a female that had a very loud voice. I couldn't make the language out. I'll share it with our team to see if they can work it out. From here on the phone, they directed me to send money from my ANZ account to another account. They said I needed to secure my account. The way to do that, they've set up a temporary account for me. I had to move the money over there. I made them think I was going to send it $3.5 million. They were salivating. And I was able to social engineer them into revealing 5 of their Money Mule accounts. So each time I would say, okay, processing, they wanted to send a test amount of $1,000. I said that went through, but the message said it won't arrive until morning, next business day, and so on. Then I told them there were some errors. It's blocking this account. I need a different one. I got 5 Money Mule accounts off them. While I was talking to them on the phone, I was connecting with my bank contacts in Australia, and real time, I was able to get these accounts, not just the accounts, but the entire customer frozen. So one fraud staff member told me he had over 13 accounts and he froze them all. We froze over $1 million Australian on this call.
So that's pretty interesting. I just kind of want to take a second to walk through what was going on. He received the phishing email. The phishing email was from the ANZ account, which was the Australian bank account. They had a phone number that had a +61 country code. So it was directly calling to where if somebody was in Australia or to Sydney, they would see that and recognize that.
No, they didn't call. They had the phone number in the email.
Okay. So then you were able to call that phone number. And then in calling that phone number, you were able to get 5 different bank accounts that were tied back to the accounts that the scammers were using. And in that course of doing that investigation over the 2.5 hours, you were able to reach out to your contacts and your colleagues. You were able to freeze the accounts and that were tied back to confirmed phishing that had over millions of dollars that were tied back to that.
Yes, and not just those 5 accounts, they were able to pivot from there to identify at least 13 accounts with one of the customers. There was one Chinese name, 2 African names, Eastern African, and 2 Syrian names. My guess, recent immigrants, and who have been either co-opted willingly or they've been social engineered into providing money.
Yeah, and that's crazy that you were able to find that much information, and just from conversing back and forth with them is like, hey, you want to go ahead and just get those? Give me those accounts. I'll take them and stuff. And
I was just pretending to be a very naive. I was trying to pretend to be a very naive retired millionaire. And they were just so excited. You could hear the excitement when I told them read out your balances, and I'd read my balances. And I got ChatGPT on the side to create fictitious account numbers and balances and totals. So I was able to actually do it real time. It's not just those 16 or 17 accounts. They are now pivoting to crypto exchanges because there's been laundering from these accounts to crypto exchanges. They're going to get back to me tomorrow with the results. It was a good day. Interestingly, during that call, they then pivoted and asked me if I had any crypto. And I said, oh, yeah, I don't know much about crypto, though. But my uncle, who died last year, he was one of the first crypto miners, and he had like Bitcoins on his hard drives in his basement. And I just got them really excited. And I actually have on call some dormant Bitcoin wallets that have 50 or 25 Bitcoin exactly to the decimal point that were mined. I actually used those in the pretext in the social engineering. I said, I can read out a wallet number, but it's difficult. So I went through it, and they looked, and I heard the gasp. It's got 25 Bitcoin. I said, yeah, I've got six wallets, I'm told, because I got all this from the lawyers because I inherited it and I don't know what to do with it. They just gave me all these documents, and some of the documents have like 10 or 20 these random words like puppies and fruits and stuff. And I don't know what to do with those. Like, they're getting all excited because they're the recovery seed phrases. And from there, I was able to get them to start revealing some of their crypto scam infrastructure, which, we'll talk about here. And Rex has been busy as one of our wonderful threat hunters, mapping out their infrastructure. And while we've been doing this the last couple of hours, we've been burning it all down. We've had bandwidth disable a US number that we're using. We got the Australian number, I think, has been cancelled, or it's close to being cancelled. And we're receiving emails every few minutes about the domains that are being burned down, not just the domain names being suspended, so they can't just redirect it to a different website, but the actual content, the templates, everything are being suspended at the CMS level.
yeah, that's good. And that's good to know, because a lot of times when attacks like this happen, I always have victims come forward. They're like, well, is it worth actually reporting this? And it's like, yeah, it is, because that one domain that you have, that can quickly balloon into several other domains, because a lot of times the attackers will overlap infrastructure, they'll overlap IP addresses, and you can identify other things that are related back to that.
Yeah.
So Rex, you want to walk through some of the domains?
Yep. So this is a funny thing. This is the ledger.com.lc was the first lucky domain that the threat actor used to scam with the mic here. It's from, you can say it's originally the information that we have from ledgers. From this domain, we pivot to find similar domain, and they're like true infrastructure. The phishing domain, when we take a look at it on tools such as Maltigo, Shodan, it actually gave out the result. It gave out an IP address, which is this IP address. When we take a look at this IP address, eventually we find even more domains that are currently hosted on it. First of all, it's like the trademin.fx.com.
So it's foreign exchange. That would have been a foreign exchange scam at some point.
Yeah, trade mine FX. Yeah, that definitely looks legitimate.
They also conduct extension scamming. You gotta download some of the extension like Chrome or like a MetaMask extension, and then they will store you. So this IP has been in a scamming activity, as you can see right here. That's very legit domain, right? TryMineFX.com, using our favorite tool named URL Scan to pivot from the original domain. There's a multiple person or automated system had already reporting this, but it doesn't. But they don't take any action, right? It still live on. It's still scamming people. By using this tool, they're parking, but when they actually do phishing, they turn it on, right? They turn it on and it's become an impersonation of a ledger.com. So from this domain, we can see that we have an IP address hosting this impersonate or scamming domain. It hosts on this one. And when you take a look at the HTTP requests and other type of artifact, you will be able to find even more website related to it. So right now we're finding one similar. It's called Ledger Activations. So let's take a look at it. Is it the same? Yes, it's the same. You see?
We should point out here that the infrastructure that they use, these domains will often only last a few weeks, months at the maximum, because once people on Reddit and places like that start reporting it for scam, they will abandon the old domain and tell the victims that they're still grooming, that haven't yet stolen from, say, hey, we've rebranded, our new website is this, and it's wash, rinse, repeat, wash, rinse, repeat. But the APIs that Rex pointed out, they will often be the back-end infrastructure that never changes. We've found cases, Rex, in the past where there's been over 100 domains, all with different branding, but the same back-end APIs and things like that running the scripts and scams.
And that's a big thing a lot of people need to understand and realize, is that a lot of people who will say, hey, is it worth taking a domain down and just taking that domain offline? It's really a 50-50 shot, because sometimes when that domain comes down, they'll go and stand it right back up. But when you have those creative mitigations where you're going after infrastructure and you're actually attacking it server side, you're able to make more lasting impacts. If you're able to impact their operations, drive up their cost of operations, that's where you have a lot longer impact.
Yeah,
so I think
burn
it's
it all
really
down.
Exactly. You went from the email that said, hey, call this number, and you were able to socially engineer them to get these domains out of them, then map out the crypto side of the scam. That was something very separate to just the regular wire transfers.
Yeah, the
And
gift
with
that kept giving.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah. And with that case where you now have that story of like, hey, you have somebody who's speaking English, they have a British accent, there's Asian being spoken in the background. It shows a lot more to the scam than just, hey, go ahead and just call this number. So it's a lot more interesting than just, hey, here's this one little piece. We were able to take that attack and balloon it out to this a lot bigger thing.
The threat actor are very, conservative about their resources. They care about return of investment. So they keep the domain. They will put up, maintain a page, but they keep going. Here's are the playbooks. They turn the domain back up. They scam. They done. They put up the maintenance HTML to show that, okay, the domain is gone. It's probably taken down, but in reality, it's fine. In this instant, there's a lot of domain doing it. So from when we encounter the domain that scam Mike, just a few hours, they took down the domain immediately. The domain cannot be accessible anymore, but now you can see, right? It rebranded. It's become a premium domain and it's just parking, right? So this is the techniques. Now it seems like, oh, it's all done, right? But no, it's still there. It's still lurking there. So from this original domain, we're able to find like quite a lot of domain that's similar to them. As I can show right here.
By the way, that holding page, I just might add that they did that, but when they realized that I was onto them, and within 5 minutes, that holding page went up. They actually suspended all that because they didn't want us to analyze the pages, the scripts and everything, but we'd already saved it all. So Rex and the team had already pulled that all down.
Yeah, that's worth noting, is that a lot of times the attackers are acting in real time. They're making those modifications and they're willing to go and take that down like as it's happening.
There's actually something else that added an extra level of believability to this, that I was staggered that this happened. So let me show you here this email. So you'll see here that I received an email. My email address has been obfuscated because it's one of our operations email. The email here says no reply at ledger.com. So when I looked at the header information, I thought that that's been spoofed and there'll be another email address behind it, but it's not. Not only that, the DKIM, all the server-side stuff that happened to deliver this email to me actually came through Ledger. So you'll notice here it says, if you didn't make this request, ignore the email. When all the images and logos are here are displayed on my original email, like if you get on a phone, for example, I didn't even see this. It wasn't even visible. This is all I saw. And they wanted me to read this number. But the interesting thing is I don't have a Ledger. They use this email to validate that they really work for Ledger. The bank people, scammers, put me through to the Ledger scammer people. The email address obfuscated here has never had a Ledger address, and yet I get this verify your email account. If I was not with Rexxfield, I would think that they're the real deal and fall for it. They would have got me to their website, put in the recovery seed phrases and everything else. Ledger needs to move this warning to the top, and it needs to be clear. If you are not the one who pressed enter to recover this email, do not act and do not give this to anybody else. It's a scam. It's too wishy-washy and you can't see it. It needs to be front and center.
To make sure I understand, what you're saying is the attackers figure out a way to use like the Ledger software to generate Ledger emails that make it seem like they're actually Ledger, correct?
These aren't spoofed. These are genuine emails originating from Ledger. So they are impersonating Ledger staff, security staff, by using Ledger infrastructure.
For example, if they had software that was saying, hey, I have this Ledger token here, and this is the email account, they would receive an email pretending to actually being from Ledger with DKIM, passing all SPF checks to make it look like the person on the phone is actually from Ledger.
Exactly.
Okay.
And I, like, they caught me by surprise while I was on the phone with them, I'm analyzing the header from that email that I just showed. It was legit. So later, Rex and I were able to work out how they did that, and they need a real Ledger device to do that. Rex, maybe if you could share your screen with the Ledger software that we downloaded this morning.
This is the app that they use. I will trying to recreate what are they doing, try to scam with the recovery.
Just to be clear, this is a desktop app on a Mac.
Yeah.
So this is what the scammers would have used when they generated the email to me.
So this on the first thing that the ledgers will ask you is, do you have any devices? There's a bunch. I will try with the Ledger Nano first. In here, there's a lot of options. Set up a new connect. Seems like something that look very alike that the email that Michael have, right?
The email I got, the only way to have it is if they have a paid subscription and a Ledger device. That means there's a money trail that Ledger can look at.
You see?
Start free trial.
Yeah, start free trial. And then this is the one.
It's really interesting to see that the attackers are using different things like trial subscriptions and other ways in order to send those emails to users. And because of that, the attackers are able to pretend to be Ledger and kind of show that, yes, they actually, quote unquote, are who they are just by taking advantage of those features. And I know with a lot of attackers in the past, we've seen them take advantage of lead generation services, temporary 14-day trials associated to domain infrastructure. And they're able to continue playing up their legitimacy and make it show like, hey, they actually are who they say they are.
Yeah.
So yeah, this was definitely an interesting case and great work on looking at this one and tracking that. Like,
yeah,
what are
good
some
stuff.
So what are some of the ways that the infrastructure has currently been burned down? Like I said, I've seen a lot of emails with the match being thrown on the gas. So what does that look like?
Well, you saw when we went to ledger.com.lc, the scam site that I interacted with, they've already taken it offline. I sent emails off to the security department, the fraud department, for multiple domain registrars. The actual registrar is going to suspend a domain. So even if the content is still in the CMS, it doesn't get there. So we've already been, even Name Silo, which is notorious for hosting scam domains, they even responded within 10 or 15 minutes that two or three of the domains that I gave them, they said we've suspended them. I just lay out who I am. This is one particular domain that they definitely registered. And I explain everything that happened. Then I give them these are the API domains that are feeding into it. This is the original scam domain, which is now down, and lots of others. And I asked them to preserve the evidence, suspend the domains and so forth. And they did it. So I actually heard back from them, like I said, within 10 or 15 minutes. So happy ending there. Very similar message was sent 6 different domain registrars, but we haven't even started with the CMS host yet, where the actual content is hosted. That's different to the registrar. But this was low-hanging fruit to get them offline quickly.
Yeah, that's awesome that you're able to do that, because again, it helps protect other victims.
As another example, so these are 2 different websites on the same tab here. You can see this is the one that they've already taken down when they got scared. And then we have this other domain, which is Ledger Insured, spelt wrong. It's already getting a warning that it's a phishing domain. But if we go in there, same thing, domain is available, just like this one. So this hasn't been suspended and this hasn't been suspended yet either, because the scammers put it up for sale, both of these up for sale. If it was suspended, it would be something else. And we have lots of other domains that already have been suspended.
When someone tries to take a domain down, these are some of the behind the scenes of how it works and what it looks like. Awesome work, guys. Awesome work.
Very good. So Ledger, I believe, has a duty of care to move the warning front and center up the top, not down the bottom where you can't see it in a small screen. It needs to be very clear. It's too wishy-washy at the moment. If you're not the one that made this request, it is 100% a scammer. Nobody else will do this for you. It needs to be very clear.
Ledger should be able to see the 7,498 email accounts tied to a single Ledger device, more than likely part of a scam.
I'm reaching out to their fraud team, and I'm hoping that email I have will connect to many others. They probably won't share it back to us. They probably even won't tell us if there was any outcome, because it could be dangerous to them. Potential liability, things like that for KYC and all sorts of fraud signals, but that's okay. We'll just fire and forget, give them the intel and hope that they'll do the right thing and burn them all down.
All right, cool. Great work, guys. Great work. So Rex is to do a last parting words. Is there anything interesting that you're working on that you want to share?
There's a lot of signal, just like Michael. So in Rexxfield, we have set up intel sources. We monitor and tracking a lot of information across multiple forums, website, and other kind of stuff to tracking who is the victim, what kind of new scam has been reported, how many the victim are they, and a lot of threat intelligence related to scam, fraud, impersonate domain, and a bunch of information that need to be analyzed by us. But we have that collection. So yeah, we at Rexxfield, we are building it.
Awesome. Sounds good. Building out all the intel. Mike, any interesting stuff you're working on lately? I see your Stingbase and Stingforce shirts.
Rexxfield I founded 18 years ago, and I've exited that, and it's in very good hands with Ronnie and team. I'm concentrating now on Stingbase, platform we're building, which will disrupt cyber-enabled financial crime and other crimes, including sextortion, all types of abuse, at scale, at the beginning, and at the source. So that's the platform, the SaaS platform we're building, which actually has artificial superintelligence native. That's why we get the scale. So each investigator who uses this will be able to clone themselves and have 100 mini-me's, if you will, which scales up the caseload. Stingforce is a unincorporated community of crime fighters, there's public government and private and institutional. People like us, law enforcement, bank and crypto exchange fraud staff, trust and safety people from Meta and all those platforms will be welcome to participate in Stingforce. So we are the people that use this to disrupt cybercrime at scale.
And with the disruption of a couple $1 million today, like on Random Monday, I think you're doing a good job at it. So keep it up.
Wouldn't it be cool if that money gets sent back to the people that lost it?
Absolutely. That'd be just a good win all around. I know a lot of the financial institutions are doing that. So
yeah, because these accounts they said would get laundered into crypto. So we got it. We got the money frozen before it was moved into crypto.
Just a casual morning for have some cereal, have some milk, then just disrupt the.
Yeah, I did have other things. I did have other things to do. I did have other things to do for clients, but sometimes when an opportunity like this comes up, you have to ask yourself, if not me, who? Right?
Yeah,
so
exactly.
If a man knows what he should do and doesn't do it, To him, it is sin. So that's my approach with things like
I
that.
say
Yeah.
that's $1 million phone call right here.
Yeah, that's a thing people don't realize is that when it comes to fighting these type of things, I received this text message about this big scam. I need to go make bacon and eggs for the family and everything. I go back and let's go report a podcast and episode. Now I'm going to go make some curry and stuff. So it's like people don't realize that that's like the reality of a lot of this stuff is like we're a lot of us live those double lives. We were trying to explain, okay, let's go and mitigate this. And if we see it, go mitigate it, take it and make those changes. So great work, everybody. Great work.
Yeah, I'm really proud of you guys. I Rexxfield was my baby for such a long time, and it's just so nice to know that it's in good hands and you're doing a better job than me because you've got more people, more skills, and more contacts than I ever had.
And it's really cool to have you here on the podcast. And this technically would have been episode 4, but those 2 other episodes have been recorded, so this will now be episode 2 that will be going live. So the other ones are already done. So it
There's your
definitely
Star Wars episode and analogy games.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny because like we initially made like Star Wars references on the first episode where it's like Star Wars. Where
Hey,
like Star Wars starts at episode 4. So
like a Star Wars junkie.
Yep.
Okay, go get him, guys.
Yep. All right. And with that, thank you for the great episode, everybody. Tune in next time, and we'll see y'all later. Rexxfield Investigates out. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to our podcast. If you like, make sure that you hit the like, the subscribe, or whatever you need to do on your favorite platform. If you want to reach out to us, go to rexfield.com. That's REXXFIELD.com. Thank you much. Take care. See you at next episode. Bye for now.